My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. We're at the halfway mark of the game that everyone is watching. There was a stage as if it looked that Punjab had lost their way and they weren't even going to get around 130. Now suddenly we've got a total that they can possibly look to have something to play with, but still it's that in-between stage when Chennai could come out and knock them off. What's the score we're talking about? 153 for 6. We always know anything between 150 and 160 is a total that gives both sides sort of an equal chance, even though this is a surface that has seen 190 plus not too long ago. And even the 153, they've got, thanks to Deepak Hooda, an unexpected quarter from where they got the runs from. No, it was not Gale, not Rahul, not Mayank Agarwal or Nicholas Puran, but Deepak Hooda at the end providing some great impetus. Shaun Pollock Joy Bhattacharjya alongside. Despite the efforts shown of Lungisani and Gidi, who was outstanding, that was something out of the box from Deepak Hooda.
Yeah, what a brilliant spell of bowling by the two South Africans, Imran Tahir and Lungi and Gidi in the middle overs, just to pull things back. Now, all jokes aside, it was a case of where Kings 11 almost were down and out of the contest with regards to where they were. So that innings of Hooda was very, very important. We do have to remember the shorter boundary. I think that's definitely something we need to keep in mind as Chennai go into their chase. It is very difficult to defend one side of the ground in the back overs, but he's given them a chance. It's playoff stuff. CSK obviously are out of the tournament. They want to end off on a high. But for Kings 11, if they go in with the attitude that this is a final for us, we got to field like there's no tomorrow. They can give themselves an extra 10 runs in the field through brilliant saves. If the bowlers are really committed to what they do, and they can add another 10 to that as well. So they've got to believe that that's enough. At the halfway stage, I don't think they had enough, but that Hooda innings has definitely given them something to work with.
And Joy, this has been the story for teams like Mumbai, where different people come and put their hand up. What the problem for Punjab early in the tournament was, it was all Rahul Mayank scoring a mountain of runs, nobody else contributing, lose game. Now suddenly they're starting to find newer players, and this might just augur well, especially if they can get through the next 20 overs.
I think it'll augur well if they survive. It's brilliant to have one more batsman in form, because Mandeep's got some runs, Hooda's got some runs there, and except for Neesham or Maxwell, whichever of the two you play, everyone else has runs. Everyone else has some sort of form. The only problem was what happened to Punjab today was the fact that they were so far they were playing fearless cricket because they had no chance. They were 1 in 6 and they had no chance at all. The closer you actually come to qualifying, the more the weight of the expectations come on you. So, today, suddenly the burden, you could see Rahul's face, the kind of shots he hit, that was not Rahul playing fearless cricket. Gale was, just had that smidgen of pressure, and he's one of the greatest batsmen of all time. And it's just pressure. It's what pressure does to teams who don't qualify on a regular basis. But yeah, I just want to go back to that innings track as well, because that's fascinating. Take a look at it again, and the kind of innings breakup, to have that situation where you are scoring at 8.83 and then you go down to 3 and 4 in over. Polly, that was terrible from them in the middle overs.
Yeah, 24 for 3, and what is that? That's 7 overs. If you have a power play like that in the first 6, if you lose 3 wickets in 6 overs and you go nowhere, basically it puts your team in jeopardy of basically losing the match. They've definitely given themselves with that 76 for 2 and striking at just under 11 and over, 4 fours and 4 sixes. It gave them a hope. But you would think, it didn't look like there were any gremlins in that surface. Some of the guys could just stand up and hit through the line, and the pitch looked pretty good. So I think CSK would be pretty confident that they can knock that off, and it'll really require some quality bowling from the Kings 11.
But you'd have to say, I know Shaun was batting for the two South Africans, but he wasn't doing it just in jest. Imran Tahir came in, you could see he made a difference. He had that spark, and Ngidi was just so solid. Remember early on, the first game he played, he got smashed all over the park. MS Dhoni kept faith with him, gave him the ball, and he took wickets in the second spell. Today, it was Ngidi from the beginning till the end.
Yeah, it was. I think the end was maybe where I think he lost the plot a little bit. If he had to have that last over again, I think he might have been slightly different in his approach. Those wide Yorkers weren't coming off, and he went for 2 or 3 sixes in that time. But the 3 overs before that, combined with the Imran Tahir stuff in the middle, was vitally important. That was where they were 24 for 3. and they really pulled the game back for CSK. So I suppose at this stage of the tournament, you always look and say, well, why didn't they play more? Why didn't those guys get more of an opportunity? Or why didn't you make this selection? It's always easier at the back end. But it just does show that they normally are such a strong squad. And they've got depth as well, guys on the bench who often come in and perform. It just has not been their year in this 2020.
To be fair, Joy, it's not just in hindsight. I remember the first few shows when Ngidi played, we said good selection. It was between him and Josh Hazelwood. But we were crying for Imran Tahir from game one. And we were even saying the only way he can get in is if he can change his citizenship.
No, absolutely. I mean, Imran Tahir actually did change his citizenship. He was originally Pakistani. Love, so many things dragged him. He became a citizen of South Africa, and how wonderful he's played for his adopted country as well. But coming back to that, what an interesting decision, because what's happening? Big match, Gale thinks he needs to take his side over. What did they do? They threw a bowler at him who he's not quite sure of. He knows that Tahir is a crafty bowler. It's not that Tahir has got him out too often. 39 or 15 balls so far. But Tahir made him think. Tahir made him just stop for a moment, become tentative. And it was a complete mind game. Tahir took out Chris Gale in this match, and that could really be the difference in this tournament. Right now, that Imran Tahir wicket was the biggest wicket for me, because if Gale had settled a bit more, he would have taken bowlers like Chahar and even Jadeja, because Jadeja is after arm or left arm bowler. So he's basically bowling into his arc. So he would have taken them apart. I think Tahir did the big job for them here today.
But when it comes to defending this total, Shaun, could KL Rahul and company be just thinking, if only we had one more bowling option? I mean, they may just do it with 5, but with this kind of a total, you would just like that insurance, wouldn't you?
Yes and no. You got to take it out of your mind. You don't have that option. They've defended 126, was it, against SRH, where they bowled superbly. They've just got to go into that mindset. It's got to be the management, the captain. Everyone's got to be chatting to the troops and saying, listen, this is our last throw of the dice. You've got to put your body on the line. I want you diving. I want you stopping absolutely everything. When you've got that ball, each ball is vitally important. You've got to commit to every option that you go for. And we've got to make this work. And the 5 guys, we're entrusting you with the job to do. You've got experience, and some of you have had a decent tournament so far. Come on. One last push. Let's see what we can do. So they can't afford to be thinking, oh, if only. And we did say at the other part of the show is that maybe Cramps surprises us and comes to the party. His batting wasn't what we've seen so far. Maybe he gives us, the universal boss gives us an over of quality off spin.
What he also does, Joy, if you remember the first game that he finally came into, Punjab were fielding first, and I think it was 2 overs into the game where he dived full length at short third and saved a show boundary.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Chris Gale is diving is not a sight I want to see too often, unless it's in the swimming pool, to be honest with you. But I mean, it's one of those things, and I think Chris has shown that attitude. He really wants to do it. So somebody must have put their hand up and said, Chris Gale must have put their hand up, or Hooda said, I'm going to bowl a couple of overs, because otherwise they couldn't have taken this decision without somebody, Chris Gale saying he was ready to bowl, or somebody saying that, because nobody takes that much of a chance in a needle match like this otherwise.
Yeah, you can always tell it's a big Sunday. You can always tell it's 2020 when Chris Gale might bowl, Chris Gale might dive, Deepak Hooda gets quick fire 50, and I win the My 11 Circle Badge of Honor. All unique events taking place on this one day. Thank you very much. Yeah, just hold that pose for a second and soak in the applause. Yeah, it's rare. It doesn't happen too often. But 150 even. Honestly, at the start of the innings, I thought I'd gone far too low. And halfway through the innings, I thought I was far too high. But it just shows that Hooda's given them something to bowl at. And Shaun, the 2 leg spinners, again, Bishnoi, he's been very impressive.
Yeah, I've been impressed with both of them.
Call him what you like.
Yeah, they've been really good throughout the tournament. I think the advantage of being able to work with Kumli for 5, 6, 7 weeks has got to help them out. I would just be interested to see what the CSK game plan will be against them. Not big turners of the ball. It's more the one that sort of slides on, and they can't afford to be looking too much for the spin. In many ways, they actually have to try and think that they're facing Imran Tahir, because he's a very similar kind of guy who targets the stumps and slides it on. But if they get off to a good start, then they don't have to take risks against them chasing just 150 odd. So that'll be key, whether they get off to a great start. Kakwad, what a catch he took. So he's going to come out after the last 2 innings beaming with confidence. And then that catch won't have dented his confidence in any way.
Yeah, certainly he was. Remember, our trump card was Rituraj Gaikwad. But, we've just set the tone for South Africa, Joy. Could it just be 3 out of 3? Imran Tahir, Lungisani Ngidi, and now Francois du Plessis to finish things off.
He's due. He's definitely due. A player of his quality not getting runs for a while and then sitting for whatever reason sitting. Players of the quality of Faf du Plessis don't like sitting. So, yeah, I think he's got a point to prove. I'll be very interested to see if they throw, along with Mohammad Shami, if they throw spin in early today. Because really, they want to save as much of Chris Jordan as they do for the final analysis. So, I'd be really interested in seeing you put in a couple of overs of spin early.
Well, it's not something they've necessarily done other than, say, when they would have got in a Mujib into the lineup. But if you do, probably not Ravi Bishnoi, Shaun, maybe a Murugan Ashwin with 1 over in the power play.
Yeah, they can risk it. I mean, ideally, as we talked about, if you can get an over from Chris Gale, but with 2 right-handers at the crease, I'm not so sure they'll go. And CSK's top order is basically a lot of right-handers. Yeah, so I very much doubt that. It'll be interesting to see how Nisham goes, and not played for a while. What can he bring? Can he deal with the pressure of the first 6? So it is going to be a challenge for them. But as we mentioned earlier, it's one throw of the dice. Guys just need to take that responsibility, and they need to go out with that belief that whenever they come onto ball, whatever role's required of them, they can do it.
Right, gentlemen. With a total around 154, I think it comes down to gut feeling. We're not sure what people are feeling like in those 2 respective dugouts, red and yellow, but everyone's watching this game. Shaun Pollock, Joy Bhattacharjya, what are you gentlemen feeling? Are we still going to be alive and kicking with the Chennai victory, or will Punjab walk away into the sunset in the desert?
Well, I'll go first. I think the 2 teams will catch their flights together.
That was an interesting way of summing it up, Joy. Yeah, I think the surface looked good enough. The small boundary. I think it would be a case where CSK would have to play badly with the bat to lose this game. So I would see both teams heading out after the next 20 overs.
Yeah, well, I was almost going to be in agreement, but I just have to defer, probably even for the sake of deferring. Yes, it was very interesting just to remind all of you out there, in case you've been confused with all the permutations. CSK are already eliminated. They're playing for pride, the pride of Lions we mentioned. If they win, they get on a flight with the Kings 11 Punjab all the way back to wherever they want to go, because Punjab too will be eliminated. However, if Punjab stay alive, then lots and lots of things happen as far as the tournament is concerned. We'll give you all the scenarios in the middle, because we have the chairman and managing director of scenarios.com on the show with us, Shaun Pollock, and of course, Joy Bhattacharjya. All those books, he can just pull up 3 or 4 of them, and it'll give you a bit of history, geography, physics, chemistry, and everything you need to know about. And of course, lots of mathematics, Joy. Yeah.
That's what you need right now. I'll tell you what, I'd love to see Chennai. I'd love to see Punjab win, because it'll just open up this tournament. But I'd have to say the odds are against it. The probabilities, if you want, are against it.
Yes, the one guy who needs to bowl his 4 overs, weren't expecting him to be in the lineup, Jimmy Neesham. He's been entrusted with the ball. We will tell you where Punjab are after 10 overs. In fact, where Chennai are with the bat after 10 overs on Cricbuzz Combox. And then one more game to look forward to in our crossover show. That's My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.